start with Russia and Ukraine. Russia is condemning the leak of a recorded call between President Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and top Kremlin advisor Yuri Ushakov, calling it an unacceptable act of hybrid warfare. The transcript published by Bloomberg News details discussions on how to prevent a Ukraine peace plan to Trump. Moscow has said that the exchange was never meant for publication and accuses unknown actors of trying to disrupt delicate peace negotiations. Ushakov has said that parts of the communications took place over encrypted government channels that are rarely breached, and he insists that the leak did not come from any participant. He plans to raise the matter directly with Witkoff. Other Russian officials, including Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov, claims the incident as part of a broader information war directed by European states and aimed at straining US-Russia relations. Now for this discussion, we welcome Mr. Ben Aris. He's a journalist, joins us live from Berlin. Thank you very much, Mr. Ben, for joining us again. Good to see you. Thank you. Now, looking at this, how might this leak of confidential US-Russia conversation, how do you think this is going to influence ongoing or future diplomatic efforts related to Ukraine and Russia war?
It's full of very interesting details. A lot of confusion has come out over where the plan, the 28-point plan that was leaked to the US press on the 19th, I think it was, last week. Where this plan has come from. Some people have said, or a lot of people have said, that it's like a Russian wish list and that they've leaked the plan as a way of basically getting Ukraine to agree to a capitulation. And then we saw, the cat went amongst the pigeons, and there was a meeting in Geneva, and the plan got cut down to 19 points with the Ukrainian and EU input. Then von der Leyen came out with an EU-sponsored plan with 24 points, with a lot of things that the Kremlin just simply won't accept. Trump himself said he's cut the plan to 22 points in the last few days. And this leak makes it very clear that the original 28-point plan was the one that was thrashed out, particularly between Witkoff, representing the US, and Dmitriev, representing Russia. And it's based, and this has been backed up by Ushakov, the advisor, and Lavrov, the foreign minister. It's based on the conversation that was held between Putin and Trump in the Alaska summit. And the Kremlin has said very clearly that they are keen on the 28-point original plan and that there's a lot in there they can agree to. And they've equally said just as clearly that all of these other versions that came out of Geneva and the EU are unacceptable. So the leaks give some clarity to where this plan came from, and personally I think it's an attempt by the Kremlin, because who else would have released this recording? There's been some suggestion that CIA or MI6 got hold of this recording and that they're behind the leak, but that would mean that the Western spy agencies have tapped Ushakov's phone. This guy is like as in a circle as it can get, and the Russians have said it's encrypted, secure government channel. The only people who have access to that recording are the Russians themselves. So I strongly suspect that like the original plan was leaked to the Western press, that this conversation has been leaked to Bloomberg. And the goal here is to refocus everybody on the importance of the original 28-point plan, which is the basis of possibly successful negotiations, as opposed to the other versions, which will all be rejected.
And what do you think, to what extent is this true, that Russia framing this leak as a hybrid warfare? Can this framing of this hybrid warfare, can it affect international perception?
Well, everyone's blaming Russia of hybrid warfare for the last 4 years. There's nothing new. And what are the Kremlin going to say? I mean, like, we leaked this in order to get this goal, this end, this influence that we want to get. That they have to say something, and of course they're going to say that we didn't leak it and that it was stolen and that it's hybrid warfare, and but it's all empty rhetoric. I mean, I don't think it's going to have any impact. As I say, it's already a very toxic atmosphere. And so the Kremlin can say what it likes about this leak. The important thing is the content in those two conversations, and what the reaction will be, the message it sends, what the reaction will be. Particularly, I think this is aimed at Trump himself. because he was the counterparty in the Alaska conversation. He agreed with Putin, presumably, on the 28 points, more or less. And he wants to see that deal done as much as Putin does.
Right. And what do you think, what could be political implications for this incident have for Trump administration's approach to Russia's policy, particularly if peace plan discussions are being publicly exposed?
Well, they've been put into the arena. Ironically, the Russians themselves saying ultimately the EU has to be involved. The problem they face there is one of the points on the list is sanctions relief. And Trump's already discovered that he can take US sanctions off Russia, but that doesn't work unless the EU also agree to take sanctions off, that their sanctions are as effective or as difficult as the US ones. And Trump has no leverage over Europe, and Europe has dug its heels in and married itself to Ukraine. So that's a particularly difficult problem. And there's also a split within the US administration between those that think Ukraine is basically lost war and has to give up territory, and a more dovish pro-Ukrainian faction in the White House who want to support Ukraine and keep it in the game, which is also the EU position. So we're into very difficult negotiations, but stepping back, I highlight again that this is the best chance we've had to end the war on negotiated terms, which everybody needs and wants, since the original deal in the first month of the war in Istanbul in 2022. And everyone's working very hard towards it. Rubio, the Foreign Secretary, US, has been very upbeat and was really excited by the progress. And the Kremlin indicated yesterday that they have agreed to many of the points on the list in the conversations that were going on in Abu Dhabi and through back channels. And so there is a real possibility of getting this done, but there's some very difficult points, particularly Ukraine's need or the demand that it gives up territory to get past. It's going to be hard.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Mr. Ben Ayres for joining us as a journalist from Berlin and sharing that insight. Now we move on to Middle East. The United Nations has confirmed that at least